Foolish wizard thing. Skulk and sneak in shadows, putting nose into business it should not, when it should run, flee, hide as far away as it can. So easy it would have been to cut, slice, to close eyes and send a void, yes. But orders are orders, and we of Clan Eshin always follow orders, yes. Heroes of Middenheim, nuisances, yes, but useful. Mission much easier if they lead way first, yes, scurry and make noise, cause chaos, mayhem, maybe even kill, murder. Yes. If man things die horrid screaming death in process, still win-win, no. But leaving things to chance, risky, bad. Must make sure mission goes well, yes. Must follow watch and sneak in shadows. Must have backup plan. Must always have backup plan.
This is Red Moon role-playing. Things are certainly getting rather intense in the dwarven hold of Carrick-Skeag. Gner Stark, you've been doing your best to get your spell, but it's taking a lot longer than you were expecting. This sadly is often the way with magic. As you're trying to do your spell, you do notice that your friends are now out of view for a moment. They've reached the top. Something's about to happen. You're not sure what they're going to do, but finally, your spell activates, and the winds of Ulgu suddenly, and perhaps a bit more violently than you're used to, drag you upwards, into the air, briefly dispersing your form before reforming it above. It's a strange feeling, but now you're at the top. You blink. You've appeared somewhere behind a large crate of something. You immediately use it as cover. You look around. For the moment, you're fine. You look beyond the crate. First of all, far to the right, you think you can see the top of that lift that's come up, and you can see figures moving around in the dark. You assume 2 of them must be your friends, but the other 3, well, not. They're approaching the area you're in. 2 Skaven, armed in armour and large halberds, seem to be approaching them. You're not quite sure what's happening there. From your vantage point, though, you see some sort of... what is this? An observatory? A laboratory? It's all very haphazard, but there are maps held up. There is alchemical equipment on tables. And there's a person here. You didn't see them. Who are they? They look odd. Firstly, they have a large chain around their legs, and they're moving with a bit of a shuffle. As they turn to look at whatever's happening to your immediate right, you think you catch a glimpse of clothing. Their clothing seems dirty, bedraggled. They look like a human. Their hair, you think, is red, long and red. It's tangled and in a mess. And as they turn, you notice they seem to have some sort of muzzle on their face. It's strange. Who is this person? What's going on here? And as you look at the maps, you recognize one of them. You recognize the lines. That's from the Rumination of Stars. That's from Dagmar's book.
Could it be her? The lost celestial wizard? Jana Ebenhauer. I never got a real description of how she looked, did I? I was just looking through her home.
You did not. But apparently she is a woman, a young woman, of a human variety.
Does she see me?
No. You are very well hidden.
Right. She disappeared when some sort of conspiracy was starting to unearth, that's right. Supposed to be on an assignment, and then disappeared along the way. ruminations on the stars, the chaos moon. I bite my lip for a second as I see her look over to, well, where the other things are happening. She must be a reason why she's muzzled. She must be a wizard. It can't be a coincidence, all this.
Indeed. Muzzled and also heavily chained. There's a large chain around her ankles.
What does it seem like she's doing here?
Right now, turning in surprise and looking quite weary as she looks to the east, and something's going on over there. Hinrich Schilf. You've made your move. You dart forwards. You see the other 3 individuals carrying their crate were just reaching the Skaven. You hear one of them saying, "Right, here's the delivery of stuff." You see one of the 2 of the Skaven guards moving in their direction. And well, that's when you make your move. What happens?
The idea is to create as much a mess as possible. I don't know what's in this box, but I'm hoping that if it's all over the floor, that will make whatever comes after this more difficult for everyone involved. So it's not enough for me to just dump the box on the floor. I want to stumble forward into either a nearby table or workbench where there's something on it that I can knock all over the floor, or failing anything else, I will just stumble into the person directly in front of me so that both of our packages end up dispersed all around.
Indeed. And you do so. Do you collide with the humans or collide with the Skaven guard?
I'm brave, but not guard brave. I don't want this to escalate too far. I'm kind of hoping I can just get by with a quick punishment as opposed to having to fight for my life. So I will choose the larger of the 2 people in front of me.
Then collided to them you do. They drop their crate on the floor. It's quite heavy, spilling a bunch of scrolls, jars, teeth, a painting of something, complete bunch of random things as far as you're concerned. And you then spill your stuff, which turns out to be some sort of, gravel? Just gravel. That's why it was so heavy. Interesting. And collide you do. There's a scrambling. The woman just gets up and just tries to elbow you in the face. "Get the through your Sigmar's name or get off me!" And at that point, the Skaven guard comes over and quickly moves his halberd to smack you on the head. What do you do?
The move here, I think, is to be small. So against every fiber of my being, I will shrink down, hands up, and no, I'm so sorry. It's so heavy. So it won't happen again.
Then you roll with this, and maybe that's why you only take 1 wound, as this thing just whacks you on the head. "Stupid servant! Get up! Get out of the way! Nastas, what is this? What are 5 of you up here doing?" "Well, hey, that one's not with us. We were just here to deliver." "No more deliveries! No more! Get out! Get out!"
I'm gonna prolong this by attempting to clean up the mess. It's like, no, it's okay. I can make it right. And I'm just scooping handfuls of gravel into the box until someone makes me leave.
You begin causing quite the large scene. You have to duck another beating as another guard comes over. The 3 individuals stumble up and just start looking very confused. You notice one of them beginning to stare at you very intently. Meanwhile, Gner Stark. You think Hinrich has just literally gone forward and barreled into these individuals, clearly trying to make a very loud distraction. It's working. You notice the woman just look at this very confused. You can see confusion on her face. And then pain as she sort of limps a little. She's limping for some reason. You wonder why she's limping on that leg.
Seeing how she is muzzled and chained up like this, I don't feel like she could cause much alarm if I made myself known. And hopefully, well, she would want to be rescued. So I think what I will do is I will try and draw attention to myself, like just say hey, over here.
You move closer, using the tables as cover, and you make yourself known. The woman sees you. They look utterly confused. And then they look at you, and they look at the person causing the distraction, and you again, and they seem a little bit like...
I'm here to help. We're here to destroy the weapon. I'm a Shadowmancer. Are you Yana?
The woman steps in your direction and tries to nod. At this point, one of the Skaven guards looks over in the direction not of you, Gner, but of the woman, and says,
Foolish human wizard thing! Back! No moving! No moving!
As this happens, the other one goes to you, Hinrich, and raises a spear directly to your neck.
Rise at once, human thing! Foolish Yellowfang! Stupid dumb! Foolish! No brain! No mind!
Oh, now is not the time to decide to be brave. I will follow instructions.
As you stand, one of the other ones, one of them, you think a man with a quite greasy beard, comes forward.
Wait, hang on, he's not one of us!
And then the woman comes forward, the one who's staring intently at you, and says, like, wait, that face up. No. Meanwhile, Kruger Hoffman, you have your distraction. What do?
Well, I will make my way to the control panel then and just try to flip as many levers as possible, unless I can clearly tell what each of them do, if there's any kind of markings that I could read. Otherwise, I'll just try to make them all move at the same time. That's usually a good way of breaking a machine.
Indeed. But I'm afraid, first of all, we need that stealth check. Thankfully at a -10. You've got your distraction. This is still very hard. You see, 2 of those guards are looking in the direction of the distraction. But there is still that other creature. And of course the fact the control panel, once you actually get there, is still quite open. You're literally slinking along, trying to lay down on the ground, so to speak.
Unfortunately, I roll a 14 under 32.
Then you reach your control panel. Now, do you do as you just said? Start pulling levers and buttons at random.
Unless I can... Looking at it, unless I can make sense of it and somehow figure out how this thing works. But it's too complex for that, right? This is something you have to be trained on.
Let's roll an intelligence check at a -20.
Alright. Well, that is a 23 under 37. That would be a failure, but I can try that again. 15 under 17, so I just pass.
You initially are filled with that desire to start pulling on random levers, pushing random buttons. But then a sudden doubt comes to you. You don't know what that would actually do. It might be very dangerous. So you pause. You do have to pause for this, to think. And you think, well, there's levers. Are they arranged in a sort of directional pattern? Maybe that could move it up or down or left or right. What's that big button? That does something. There's some sort of weird glass thing that has filled with green something. You have no idea what any of this is, but that's interesting. There's a few other buttons as well. Alright, well, the buttons probably do something. Maybe the levers just do the moving. That's what you think.
And if I want to make this thing now more accessible so that we can get to it in an easier way, would that then mean moving the levers to get it down?
Well, it does occur to you that now you're on this side of things. Lowering it down would be useful, but only if you were all the way back on the other side. But then again, maybe you can just do something with the direction. It does have to move, doesn't it? What happens if you just turn it a bit too much? There's an awful lot of supports and levers. Maybe something would happen.
Yes. I'll see if I can get this thing to move and crash into things. If that might break it, it might break a lot of other things. That might be something that would give us a chance to escape this place once we've done our deed. So yes, I'll try to get it to crash into something.
Which direction? left into the cavern wall or right. It might not crash into anything there, although it might eventually crash into the platform that you're on, or next to it. Maybe left.
Yes.
Wonderful. Then you reach for the lever and are about to pull it. And as you do so, you hear a slight clicking sound from behind you. Gner Stark, you see your friend. It definitely is Hinrich. The guards are now starting to look at your friend very awkwardly, and you hear one of the humans, they are starting to say, like, he's not one of us, wait, what? He's currently standing, surrounded by all 5 of these beings now. What do you do?
Alright. So this is what I see there. Did I see what happened to Kruger as well?
You look to the very, very far right, and you think you can see his form making his way to hopefully whatever controls this great weapon.
Right. Well, clearly, right now, if anyone needs my help, it's Hinrich. I'm not sure what would do the trick, but perhaps a little cantrip. A little cantrip could do it. We'll see. I'm not sure what he's going to try and do, but I'm going to try and cast the cantrip sounds to make the sound of swords being drawn just behind the crowd that's now surrounding him.
Wonderful. Please cast your spell.
Yes, that is a success. 57 under 60.
Then your spell, a simple cantrip, goes off. Hinrich Schilf, you hear the sound of swords being drawn. The 2 Skaven guards turn immediately behind them, facing now away from you. Just as one of these individuals, the woman, says, like, Oh, I think it's that Schilf fellow! Oh, Sigmar! What do you do, Hinrich? 2 guards have now completely turned away from you. These 3 individuals have recognized you.
Oh, for one, I'm flattered to be recognized. And I suppose that will make the heroic moment all the better. There's no way out of this now, so all I can do is confirm their suspicions and take advantage of this moment of surprise to deal with the 2 guards who won't see it coming.
They certainly won't.
So, demure, subservient visage falling aside, I will throw my hands back, casting off the large cloak to reveal a pistol in one hand and a rapier in the other.
Kruger Hoffman, everything is happening at once. But it's strange how, at times like this, moments of time can seem faster in one area and slower in the other. You hear a click. You look behind you. Stalking towards you is that creature. The one from beneath Wickendorf. The one from beneath you moments ago. Clambering forward slowly. They have that large gun raised. They are moving forward with a large halberd in their left hand, crackling with green energy. On their person, you see again that strange backpack and the strange green goggles. You also notice there's a slight clank as they move forward. One of their legs seems to be made entirely of bronze, as is one of their fingers. Move away from console, man thing!
I don't think I will, and I push the lever in the way that I intended.
As you do so, you push the lever as hard back as it can. The great cannon begins to suddenly grind forwards, suddenly veering into the side of this giant mountain area, crashing hard. Several pistons begin to fall, several lines begin to fall. The sound is deafening, and as it happens, there's another sound. A giant bell suddenly rings somewhere, this time 9 times. The sound is very deafening. And then, of course, violence begins. The creature before you screams in mad anger, saying, "Too late, man-thing spies! Too late! Day of Ascension here! Day Hornrat blesses me here!" And he shoots you, Kruger. You hear it pass by your ear, this strange metallic sound, as he misses. And you think to to yourself only because as he fires, the very area you're in suddenly shakes as that cannon hits the side. It's your turn. What do you do, Kruger? You miss being shot by a hair.
I'll try to shoot back then. I'll release my crossbow and hopefully I can stop this thing in its tracks.
Please fire.
Alright, that's a 36 under 50.
That's a hit. How much damage?
The damage is... standard damage is 9, and then we had 2 degrees of success, right? So 11.
You aim and you fire, your crossbow striking the being in the side as he winces and screams and steps back just a little. Not a bad flesh wound, not a bad start. Gner Stark, your turn. What do you do?
This is all going to go very quickly. As soon as I see the guards turn around, to my distraction, I just entrust Hinrich to do what he's best at for now. Me, I want to see if there's a quick way for me to either have Yana join us in combat or try and free her some way. I want to see if I can get that muzzle off. If she can talk and at least use her hand somewhat, then maybe she can do something too.
Perhaps. I would like you to move over to her, and you're going to need to do a sleight of hand or dexterity check here to try and get this thing off her. Give yourself a +10 as the individual does look at you and kind of start going,
I'll get it off you. Just, right, help me here. With that sleight of hand check, which happens to be a skill for Magister Vigilance of a certain rank, and with that bonus, I roll a 47 under 50.
Then you move forwards and quickly struggle with this poor woman, and off comes the muzzle as she sort of just says, "Oh! Ah!" She's clearly not in a very good mood. But you've done it. Off comes her muzzle. Heinrich Schilf, you have surprise. So please do your first actions and then do another action because you have a surprise. You got a surprise round.
Well, the first is quite easy. With the Skaven having their back to me, it should be no small feat to take the blade of Barakul, my magical rapier, and stab it directly through the base of the spine, aiming for to go through the throat. The less screaming, the better. The second is less elegant, because a pistol is not a finesse weapon, but should be able to make a similar-sized hole all the same in the guard standing next to him. So let's try that roll first. It's a 44, which succeeds on both and is critical.
That is a critical hit on both. Tell us how you dispatch these two individuals. They do have armor, so your rapier doesn't go in quite as nicely as you'd have liked. You do make a note of that, but they do go down.
Well, let it never be said that I will miss an opportunity to show off, because stabbing someone who's unaware, that's fine, no offense to Kruger, but you really have to make a moment out of it, which means I would like to shoot the one on the left first, such that when his partner turns in shock and surprise to see the fountain of gore coming out from where this person's, I presume, throat and lower jaw once were, that scream of surprise is interrupted then by the blade, and he is bubbling forward, wheezing, trying to get that sound out.
Indeed. All that in a few seconds. 2 down. And now, your turn again. You notice the individuals around you are looking at you in horror and trying to retreat, you think.
I don't intend to kill any of the captives here. It's not their fault, and if they don't show me any harm, I'm not going to show them any harm. But I think there was a third person in the room, who was running the workshop.
Yes, and you turn and see Gner's gone over to them and ripped off something off their face. What's he doing? And then you recognize them. Is that the woman you met at the garden party months ago? You think it is?
Then what Gner and this woman see is Heinrich spinning on a heel, perfect duelist's balance and positioning, one hand with the rapier still, the first pistol having been dropped in a very smooth motion, coming to his side to pull up the second one, and then you hear the click of that matchlock pulling back ready to shoot before I realize... So, well, nice of you to join us.
That's what happens. There's a moment where that woman just looks at you and looks on in horror, assuming you were about to shoot them, and then you don't, and they just go, oh, Sigma, please help me. Meanwhile, the three individuals just begin running, one of them saying, "Bloody heroes of Middenheim, you crazy bastards!" And they are just running, scrambling their best to get to maybe the lift. At that point, a giant rat ogre begins fumbling over towards you, Kruger, their fist raised and then coming down on your position. They don't say anything, they seem quite confused, but you do hear again in the background the being saying, "Kill it, Free Eyes, kill the spies!" Could you please make an opposed roll here, dear Kruger? I think dodge in your case, or parry, weapon skill, whichever you'd like to use. Weapon skill or your dodge.
Let's go with dodge then. There's a 12 under 47. 3 degrees of success.
3 degrees of success. Meet 3 degrees of success. And so you dodge out of the way, Kruger, once again by a breath. This time you have to move away from the console. This thing brings down its giant fist right where you were, causing some of the machinery to fly into pieces. That was extremely close. And then 2 Skaven begin charging towards you. Those other guards, one of them can't quite reach you, but one of them does try to get in and sweep its halberd at you. And you can make another opposed roll there, please, Kruger.
Have to use a point of fortune. 11.
Then dodge again you do. Kruger, how many times have you dodged now? This is intense. You're starting to sweat.
I certainly am. I have to get out of here quick. I just hope that whatever I've done with this control panel, that's enough, and that we just need to get out of here now.
You certainly hope so. The second round of combat begins. You hear the being behind you. It starts to chuckle. "Mild damage at best, man-things! Shall repair, shall fix, cannot stop my ascendancy of the horned rat!" And then you hear a strange gas-like sound. Suddenly you are blanketed, Kruger, in a green mist. Could you please roll an endurance check at a -20?
Well, 77 is not going to cut it. Using another point of fortune, I'm down to 1 now remaining. 35, no.
Then, as you fail, you begin to feel yourself unable to resist breathing in. There is something awful about this smoke, something acidic. It starts to burn at your mouth. But maybe that's all it will do. Will you spend a point of resolve, Kruger Hoffman, to ignore the poison condition? Will you tough out whatever's happening?
I'll use a point of resolve then. I can't afford to become weak here. We still have to get out of here, so I will do that.
Then it is your turn, Kruger. There are now 2 assailants, this one Skaven. They move surprisingly swiftly, not like the ones you've encountered before. It's almost like they actually know what they're doing. Almost. And then, of course, this giant ogre rat thing. It's not nearly as terrifying, to be fair, as the one you met at the picket line. This one seems a bit slower, but still a foe. And then, of course, behind all this green smoke, you've lost sight of the other one.
Yes. Does it look like I can get out of here, or is the situation such that I will have to fight to the death before being able to escape?
Well, Kruger Hoffman, if you didn't have any advantage, you might be at trouble, but you have actually scored 1 advantage from the last round, which you have not lost. If you spend 1 advantage, you can make a free disengage action. You can get out of here. You can't do anything else other than run, but you can run to your friends. You do look in their direction, and they seem to be doing significantly better than you.
Then I'll do just that. There's strength in numbers. I'm very much exposed where I am. So I'll disengage and I'll run for Gner and Hinrich.
Gner Stark. You see the woman, she wobbles a little, and then you notice Hinrich Schilf has paused with his gun, but it is ready and loaded at her. You have a feeling if you don't do something, he might just shoot her. After all, you don't think he knows who she is.
Yeah. It's a strange... There's no time to think, really. I just see him aiming his pistol towards us. I'll quickly just shout as everything unfolds around me. Quick, we must get Malice at any cost! And I gesture towards over there where Kruger is, which I assume I must have recognized Malice being over there by now.
You definitely saw something going on over there, but now there's this big, giant, smoggy green cloud covering a lot of things, other than the rat ogre and two Skaven trying to chase after your friend.
Whatever happens here, I will die before leaving if Malice is not dead. He must die, because otherwise this weapon of mass destruction will be repaired and be used against us, against the Empire. So I'm going to start channeling Ulgo, loudly chanting incantations while looking at Yana pleadingly that she helps as well.
Then please make your channeling roll.
Alright, that is 3 levels. Wait, 50. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 3 levels of success. So I shall have a casting number of 0 for my bolt that I'm hoping to throw next turn.
In that case, your channeling is successful, and on the next turn you'll be able to cast your Shadow Bolt. Meanwhile, Kruger, the giant ogre, charges after you, trying its best to keep up with you, but it does have a large chain attached to it, so it's not quite able to keep up with you. But it is trying. Hinrich, your turn. You see the individuals around you are now running away. You notice 1 or 2 guards following behind Kruger, who's running very fast towards you, and behind him, a large ogre-like being. Up this close, you can immediately tell this thing does not seem nearly as intimidating as the one you faced before, but it is still a dangerous foe. What do you do?
I'm not going to let my friend Kruger fight this thing unattended, and if he wants to run away, then I shall help give him space. With eye contact made with Gner to know that whatever's going on here, I should not terminate the life of his wizard friend. I am going to sprint back into that center area, make fleeting contact with Kruger, seeing the situation unfold, and then can I just essentially shoulder chuck into this ogre creature, get it off balance so it's not chasing Kruger, and then I will end up in combat with it?
Hinrich Schilf, you charge forwards, barreling quickly past your friend, who quickly runs past you, and facing this ogre head-on. And as you do that, it's your action. That was your move. You can still have an action.
Yes, now that I have its attention, I don't yet get the impression that we're leaving. Am I also in the green cloud, or can I see it from where I am?
I'm going to be fair here and say no. The green cloud is starting to already dissipate. It had quite a large range, but you were never anywhere near this individual. So you can see this green cloud, but it does seem to be dissipating.
Fair enough. Then no need to balance my self-preservation instinct against this fight. I will lunge at the creature, rapier in hand, and see if we can't put a few well-placed cuts in its hide.
Please make your roll.
For rapier, that is 50 under 63, 1 level of success.
How much damage is that?
1 level of success plus strength bonus of 5, so, and then plus 4 for rapier, so that's 10.
You charge forwards and stab this creature with your rapier, doing your best to keep out of the range of its fists. It howls in pain as you get a good hit on it, spilling its blood, not quite down, but definitely not happy. And unlike the one you faced before, this thing sounds really unhappy. It just lets out this wounded wail of misery. And then you notice 2 Skaven trying to flank around the being and charge towards you. But as they do so, the woman moves forward. She starts muttering something under her breath. You can understand what she's saying, of course, Gner, the language of magic, but it sounds extremely strained. She's choking a little as she does so. 2 lightning bolts suddenly extend from her hands and strike both of these creatures, instantly causing them to fall to the ground. But then she just stumbles and falls to the floor. You think, Gner, that took an awful lot out of her. She is not in a good state at all.
I see it, and I am in the middle of channeling myself. I can't lose concentration, but I think somewhere in the back of my mind that I'll try my best to get her out of here, if we just survive as well.
Indeed. And so, the 3rd round. Kruger, you heard what Gner said. You think you've done damage, but can it be repaired? And then you notice whatever's in that small cloud seems to be withdrawing. The creature's withdrawing. Of course it is. Why would it rush towards you and your friends and engage in fair battle? You hear a clicking sound, and you hear something saying,
"Come into my lair, my domain. Think I fall for clever traps? Foolish man things. You will die. Raise the alarm! Raise the alarm!"
And something starts clanging somewhere. Ding, 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 ding. And you look down and see dozens of Skavens suddenly beginning to panic. Several suddenly starting to move towards the lift. You look to what you've done, and there is a great deal of damage. And then you notice something quite odd, because you swear you can see something moving that you think you just saw a shadow. 2 shadows. They're moving quite quickly around the base of the weapon. What on earth's going on there? It's your turn, Kruger. What do? You see your friend, Hinrich, facing this great ogre. 2 of those Skaven have gone down to lightning. The other one seems to just be staying way back. What do? The situation is getting more and more dangerous by the moment.
I'll have to do something to contribute, so I'll begin reloading my crossbow, and I'll use my turn for that.
Then you reload your crossbow. I won't make you do a roll. It's fine. Gner Stark. Shadow bolt time. But as you look, you notice that all the way over there, he's just running away. He's moving away. Maybe you can get the ogre, but you don't think you can get this thing. What does that mean? Are you going to just do all this and just die?
Oh, so Malice is going, is he? He's running for the wind.
You think so, you just can't quite see where he is. Where he is basically now green smog, and you don't see him emerging from it, but you can hear his shouts, but again, he's getting further from you, not closer.
Oh, damned chaos gods. I'll, from where I stand, then redirect my attention, and I'll try and help Hinrich a bit by aiming this ball towards the ogre instead. That is 69 over 60.
Oh, so don't forget, just in case we're pushing to the edge here, you do have resilience, which when you spend, lets you choose the result of a dice roll.
That is true, but I have only used 1 fortune point so far, so I'll use another of those. Unfortunately, it's still a failure. It's 75 over 60, so nothing happening.
Yes, you feel the shadow bolt just dissolve in your hands. You still have residual magic around you, so it's not a complete waste. You'll get a bonus on your next channel, but yes, that spell didn't quite work. And what's going through your mind, Gner? I mean, on one hand, the mission is going to be successful, but yeah, what happens if you don't kill this thing here now? And then you also suddenly feel a presence behind you just for a moment, and then it's gone. What was that? I think something was just behind you, and now it's gone.
Maybe that's why it distracts me. I felt like something was coming up. Now, I look around. Could it be it? Has it followed us here? The one that was after me? Could it be going for him? Is this still going to work somehow? Get your mind back to it, Gner.
So, Hinrich Schilf, currently at free advantage. You are going to now have to defend yourself, as this creature tries to pummel you.
Come on, beast. Show me what you've got.
I got 1 success level. What did you get?
Whew, okay. Well, we did jinx it, so that's not good. I'm going to spend a point of fortune to see if I can avoid that problem. That is fortune well spent. With the 3 advantage, that is 5 levels of success.
And you parry with ease. The creature is slow, it is lumberous, and it does not have nearly as much strength as that other creature did. Was that one different in some way? This doesn't seem nearly as threatening. Granted, it is a 7 foot tall rat ogre creature, but it doesn't seem nearly as prevalent. It simply howls in frustration that it can't hit you. It's your turn, Hinrich.
While I'm sparring with this creature, Malice Manrat has done nothing but raise the alarm, correct?
Yes, you can now hear it loudly, and as you look down, you can see lots and lots of reinforcements are making their way to your position. They will, of course, probably take a little time to get to you. There's that lift. But soon there's an awful lot of people down there. Although at the same time, there is a bit of chaos and confusion. You look to the cannon, and you've done some damage, and you even think something suddenly just goes off somewhere, a little explosion. This is all getting quite dangerous.
I'll yell over my shoulder. Kruger, I can handle this dance if you'll make sure that our card stays empty. Looks like a shooting gallery down there.
Got it. I yell back.
And then I need to get this rat ogre out of the way so I can focus entirely on the big boss. So I will, now that I am in range, pistol in one hand, rapier in the other, try to make the most of the situation.
Indeed. Make your roll.
65 under 93 on the rapier, which would be 3 levels of success. Strength bonus plus 4, which is 8, plus the margins of success, which is 3. So that's 11 from the rapier. And then the pistol is a flat plus 8. Does it still count success levels?
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, it's a 56 under 93, which would be 4 success levels.
Hinrich Schilf, how do you slay this creature? It barrels forward one last time, trying to swing at you. You do notice it has this big chain attached to its leg. That's probably not helped its mobility.
No, and it's the nimbleness that the duelist's background gives you in moments like these. When something is big, you can bait its swings and dance around it. So, with the first blow coming in, I can duck aside fairly easily, leaping over the chain as it cuts past this thing spinning around. That gives me access to the side of it, and the rapier plunges in down below the ribs into a terribly painful stomach wound. And then as the creature reels back, roaring out with pain, that's when the pistol can come up under the chin, and then just black powder, smoke, and violence erupting upward.
Indeed. And down it goes. And now, we shall leave combat. Gner Stark, you see Hinrich Schilf take down that creature. Once again, how impressive it is to see this individual with rapier in one hand and pistol in the other. He seems almost invincible sometimes. Maybe that adds to his charm. But what are you doing? You look to the cloud, you think you see some movement, but down below, you see a lot of movement. There's about 20 Skavens starting to scramble onto the lift. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of running back and forth. And again, you see shadows by the cannon. The cannon has smashed into the wall. A lot of its rigging has fallen away, and again, you notice beneath it there seems to be some warpstone starting to pool up and just start burning through the floor. But you might be in trouble soon. How are you actually going to get out of this, you think to yourself? You do look and remember the lifts, the outer lifts. You can see it all the way to the left. That leads outside. Is that the only route you're going to have? What do you do?
I try not to fall into despair. Our main target seems to have made an escape. I can't figure out where he's gone. Now, well, we're soon about to be overwhelmed. I shout out to the others. I look at them and I'll say, "This is the deputy head of the guild, the Wizards Guild back in Middenheim. We need to try and get her out of here, but I don't know where Malice went."
At this point, spinning left, spinning right, looking. Do I realize where Malice went?
As you're thinking that, from the smoke, you see movement. About 30, 40 yards ahead of you. There's an individual, and as you see them, they raise their gun. Kruger, Hoffman, you took the time to reload. Your crossbow is ready. You see this individual, their gun raised at Hinrich Schilf. What do you do?
Well, I need to protect my friend, so I'll fire at them then.
Make your attack, please. At a -10. Due to the distance. They are quite far away. It occurs to you their pistol, for some reason, has much greater range, surely, than your own, Hinrich Schilf. That's interesting.
That is an 11 under 40 in that case. So that is 3 degrees of success.
Excellent. Then you fire your crossbow in their direction. They veer a little, but they still fire. But I'm going to say it's at a -30 due to your 3 levels of success. And the gun goes off. Ping! Missing once again as the individual just starts backing away. Again, they're already quite far. You hear them screaming.
No! No! Moonbreaker cannon, not fall! We'll lead Council of 13! We'll be Herald of Hondurat! Man, things die! Die, kill! Die, kill!
And then you see Hinrich Schilf behind this being, a shadow suddenly move. And as it moves behind the being, they suddenly turn, and then a great eruption of blood spills forth from their throat, as the being then falls into smoke. And as that happens, the explosions begin. You're not sure what's going on, Hinrich Schilf. You turn and look down to the beneath you, and you look to the weapon, and suddenly you see 4 or 5 small green explosions suddenly all fire off at once. Boom, 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 boom! Oh, the floor shakes. Can everyone roll an athletics check, please?
That is a failure for me. 3 degrees of failure.
My string of luck has ended. This is a 99, a critical athletics failure.
I failed, but I will use my final point of fortune. That's a 22 under 47.
Kruger Hoffman, you are able to find something to hold on to, but you notice Hinrich Schilf just fall to the ground, like just straight up fall and almost bang his head, for a moment dropping both his weapons. As for you, Gner Stark, you fall too, falling over the edge of the platform. You feel yourself being grabbed by the woman. This woman with red hair, she's looking at you, desperately trying to hold on. Oh, thank you for saving me, but I think we're all gonna die now, but I think this is for the best. Sigmar must have willed this. At least these creatures will die too, maybe. I don't know what's happening. Again, the mountain itself shakes as you hear in the distance several other explosions from deep within the mountain. You look down beneath you, Gner Stark. Lots of things are happening. There's green fire starting to spread everywhere. You see several dozens of Skaven just starting to run and squeal as they are burned, as they are just running in confusion. Something's exploding all over the place, and it's causing lots more explosions. You think very soon this might be the end of you all. What do? You're hanging in the air.
I think to myself, that must be Hetri and the other dwarves. Maybe she was able to save some and set the black powders off. I realize that we're all soon going to be somewhere where we don't want to be, but those lifts that I thought of, are they reachable? Can we get from here to there somehow?
There would be no time to get down there safely, to go to the lift, to run for all the chaos. But there would be time if you used magic. You could teleport down there.
Alright.
You better do it quickly. And get your friends over to you.
I can only move those close to me. Either I run to them or they come to me. If they come to me, I might be able to bring her as well. Come! Over here! Quickly! I call out to Kruger and Hinrich. And then I start to try channeling Ulgu. I will get us out of here. I say to the woman.
She looks at you, tries to haul you up, but can't. And you realise you're going to have to do your spellcasting from where you are, which is going to be tricky. But one hand should be enough. You think. You hope. Kruger, Hoffman, you hear Gner Stark call out to you. You see him, some woman who you vaguely recognise is doing her best to stop him falling to his death, and you think he's trying to cast a spell. You can feel the air moving with magic. But what about your friend Heinrich Schilf? He's down on the ground. He's dropped both his weapons. What do?
Well, then I'll first try to move towards Heinrich and help him up, and then after that make my way towards Gner.
Then you do so. Heinrich Schilf, your friend is trying to help you up. You're stunned. You don't know what's going on. What is happening? Why are there so many explosions?
I think this is a good time for me to spend one of my resilience to shake off the concussive disorientation from having stumbled around, because I don't want to lose the sword in the chaos. And I think that leads to a moment where you see Heinrich scrambling around to get his hand over the hilt of the rapier, and then looking around through the smoke and everything to then just see Kruger's arm appear. And with his free hand, I will grab it. And I assume Kruger knows where we're going, so I will follow wherever that momentum leads.
I like all of that, yet please spend that point. You do so, that enables you to get up and struggle a little, because that took a bit of the wind out of you, but you are both able to just move over to your friend. And again, as you're moving over, you just look around, and how strange, you recognize some of the pictures that are held up. Didn't you see that once in a tower somewhere? Lines and astronomical things? And you see it as well, Kruger Hoffman. How unusual. Why is that all here? But maybe there's no time to think on that. You all gather around as close as you can to the woman, and she looks down at you. Gner Stark, please make your channeling roll. It will be at a -20, as will your spellcasting. This is difficult. However, if you wanted to get out of the situation, perhaps you could burn a point of resolve. You could use that resolve to say that you are able to haul yourself up, maybe by your own strength. Quite an impressive feat, but then again, Gner Stark is not a weak individual.
Alright. I will do that. I will use a bit of resolve to shake my prone condition, or this general condition of confusion, to get myself through, and I will roll for my channeling. I roll 14 then, under what would normally be 50, then depending on if I shook the penalty or not, yeah, it'll still take me down to 0 casting number for the spell.
Excellent. Cast your spell as Ulgu channels around you successfully, and everything begins to shiver and feel very cold.
And that is a 39 under 40 with a penalty, so that's very close.
What happens, Gner Stark? You tell us.
I have decided on where to try and take us. When you say down in the offer of route that you made, did you mean down through the grates back in there or just out towards the slopes?
To the lifts, you can see them. You are above them. From here, you just lean over the floor doesn't cover everything, so you can literally just look straight down and have a perfect viewpoint of those lifts, the ones you use to come up. You should be able to use them to get back down. It might be very dangerous, but well, better than staying where you are.
I don't know if it is the hard conditions that we're in, but I start chanting very loudly, louder than I have before, just to hold my voice steady and make sure that those strands of Ulgu that I would be able to weave do not escape me. And they form, first only visible to me, but then also to the rest of you around us, just like a big sphere of fog or a grey mist. And then that is all you see for a second. It's just grey, like a swirling sky around us and below us. And as they lighten up and dissipate, we find ourselves in that lift on beyond, on the other side, ready, if the place holds, to take us down.
Indeed you do. Kruger, there's a moment before the spell goes off. A moment before you feel that strange sensation of being in one place, darkness, and then another place. You turn to the control panel. You notice the being you think was Malice Ranrak. In the end, everything happened so fast, so quickly. You find yourself once again maybe finding amusement that you don't actually know what was even going on here, only that it's now all exploding. But you do see it reach for the panel. It raises a hand, it's crawling along, it's bleeding heavily from its throat. And it just bellows out to who knows who, saying, "No! Warpstone mine! Fire the Moonbreaker!" And bring its fist down on a button. And then the cannon begins to disappear in a gigantic explosion of green fire. And suddenly, you're no longer there. All of you are on the lift. And the lift shakes. You see fire, explosions, the ending of all things, and the lift begins to fall rapidly. You are all falling. You look above you and see that where you just were is now engulfed in green flame as the mountain itself shakes. It's blinding. But you don't have time to think about that. You only have time to try and not die. Could you all please roll an athletics check at a -20? You are on a conveyor belt lift. It is falling rapidly.
As I see Jana in her weakened state and the big bruises on her arms from where the shackles have held her, I try and hold on to her and try to make sure that however we land, however hard we land, I'm going to try and soften the impact.
You certainly can do that. That will take into account the result of your roll.
I will use my last point of fortune to re-roll that 100 that I just got. Did you say a -20?
Yes.
Well, in that case, I would have a 10. And I roll a 65 over that.
How does everyone else do?
71 over 27, so no good.
I am pleased to report that Hinrich is back on his feet, 16 under 32.
Hinrich Schilf, you're able to hold on. You're able to grasp a little of at least what's happening to you. This lift thing you're in is falling rapidly, but it hasn't come completely loose. You're not all going to die just yet. It's just falling very, very fast. The mechanisms are supposed to be completely damaged. As you're hurtling down the mountainside at great speeds, though, you notice Gner Stark managed to push this woman. He pushes her, trying to clearly keep her safe before falling himself. And then, next to you, Kruger Hoffman falls as well. You think you only are able to help one of them. Who will you try and help?
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the legendary campaign The Enemy Within for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition, published by Cubicle 7. In this 4th part of the series, we are tackling The Horned Rat. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Aaron Hammonds from Queen's Court Games and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Flowers for Body Snatchers, Wordclock, Metatron Omega, Aegir Sonus, Apocryphus, Halgrath, and Northumbria, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Graham Barey, Doug Thomson, Lily, and Mike Parker for their generous support. We would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check it out on Patreon. You can get access to our Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay bonus campaign, Rough Nights and Hard Days, as well as bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Call of Cthulhu there. On top of that, we also offer early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play some Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check it out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that Skaven are definitely not real, and even if they were, the Emperor would have already dealt with that threat.